Quiet, man. If you've ever felt unsure about your career path, questioned whether your hard work is actually being noticed, or wondered what it really takes to step into a leadership role, this might just be the episode for you. I'm Laura, Managing Director and co-founder at Fresh Perspective Resourcing. We're an innovative, we've got to do a pitch somewhere, innovative recruitment partner with a unique pricing model, turning the industry on its head with our value-led and ethical hiring practices. And today we're talking about the gender gap in leadership, particularly across Lancashire, and what it really looks like for women building their careers whilst juggling real-life responsibilities. Joining me today is Michelle, Managing Director at JMG Group, someone who's built an incredible career in the insurance industry, starting out in a part-time role whilst raising 2 kids and working her way up to leadership through consistency, resilience, and a genuine passion for doing a fab job. She's proof that you don't always need a perfectly mapped out plan or to chase titles to succeed. Sometimes it's about showing up, supporting others, and letting your work speak for itself. We'll be diving into the realities of women in leadership, the challenges that sadly still exist, and what both individuals and businesses can be doing to help close that gender gap, alongside some honest reflections on what it really takes to build a meaningful and successful career, man or woman. Michelle Harness, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, Laura. I really appreciate you inviting me to be on this. This is fantastic. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking to you this morning.
Thanks so much for coming in. I know you're mega busy. You've been doing a lot recently, stepping out your comfort zone and pushing on through your industry, getting through all kinds of crazy and amazing things. So I really appreciate you making the time to join me. It's lovely to see you. I've not seen you at an event for ages, probably because I've not been out very much.
I have been around. Yeah, we do a lot of work with the Greater Manchester Chamber of Commerce. So generally, I'm at most of their events where I can. But yeah, it's certainly been a crazy few months. So probably not as much as what I usually am.
I've been invited to a Manchester Chamber of Commerce event in April, so I might see you there.
Absolutely.
Because I think the last time we saw each other might have been at one of our events at 1842 in Preston.
Yeah.
Which was ages ago.
Yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't know you, I mean, I know you really well. Well-ish. Can you give us a quick overview of who you are and what you do? This is my Cilla Black moment. What's your name? Where'd you come from?
As you know already, I'm Michelle Harness. I work for a company called JMG Insurance Brokers. I am Managing Director for the Northwest. And we look after business insurance and manage risk for our clients. So that's really me in a nutshell. I live in Leyland, have done since 2004, and actually since 1993 because I lived somewhere else in Leyland before that. Yeah, and that's me. I don't know why I've never moved, but I just seem to like Leyland and all the transportation links, I think.
Wow, it has a lot going for it. Mainly probably just the transportation links. I'm from Chorley, last name Leyland. I did live in Leyland when first born. Then I moved away and then it's like a boomerang. I've come back. So yeah, maybe not for the transport links, although they are handy. But just walking back a few steps. Yes, you're the MD of the Northwest region, recently promoted. It's probably not as recent as it feels. When was that?
It was probably, it really started to take shape in January this year, I'd say. But I had been doing various bits of the role before that for probably a long time. So I was really assisting who is now the regional managing director, Matthew Studdard. But not in the actual official role. Just did it because it needed to be done. And I just enjoyed, being that person that helped.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you feel you should have had the title sooner if you were doing the job?
No, no, not at
No
all.
offense, Matthew.
No, 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 not at all. Not at all. And, I think that what is absolutely wonderful about JMG Insurance Brokers and about Matthew, first of all, I have to say that Matthew is one of the most incredible people I've ever met in my entire life. He is a fantastic managing director and now regional managing director. He is a fantastic person as well. So, I'm very, very proud to say that, I consider him one of my, closest confidants and friends. I just think he's a great person. So, he always, would have had that intention to promote within because that is what the JMG culture is. So but I never expected it at the same time, or certainly never sort of asked for it or push for anything. I just wanted to do my best and help as much as possible and build our business, in the Northwest. So that was my mindset all along. But yeah, when I met Matt, it was it just brought out. He just managed to bring out something in me that really, really spurred me on and just made me believe in myself. So he's just a great mentor, a great person, and I just I can't thank him enough for all the help and support that he's given to me since I've been at JMG and since I've known him, because I didn't immediately come across over to JMG, because I was a corporate broker previous to JMG, and I didn't. I wasn't sort of a mover and a shaker, so I had to kind of have a bit of convincing to move over to JMG. But Matt convinced me that he didn't even have to convince me. I just knew that I wanted to work with him as a person. He just brought out the absolute best in me.
I can see that. I know Matt, and I think effervescent, vibrant, and
Best
positive.
dressed.
Yeah, always the best dressed person in any room. Yeah, so I can really see that. But were you expecting the promotion, or were you surprised?
No, I wasn't expecting it at all. In fact, when he said it, I sort of thought I dreamt the moment. And I think at one point I looked over my shoulders because I thought somebody else had walked in the room.
Like old school Jeremy Beadle.
Yeah. Me? What?
Oh,
So yeah, it was I was so surprised.
why were you surprised?
Uh, I suppose because, in my mind, these things are normally, you know, sought after, and as you kind of, some people sort of think, all right, I'm at this position, I want to move up to the next position, and then after that I want to move up to the next position. I've never really been like that. I've always been happy with what I'm doing, and loved what I do, and I've never expected anything from any. I've never expected any kind of reward for that. Obviously, you get paid, but I just wanted to do my job well, and I think that I have a fantastic team around me as well. So I enjoyed coming to work. I enjoy still coming to work. Sounds like it was a past tense then. I love going into work and I love doing my job and I love looking after my clients and I love, building our business. It excites me. I think that, some people just, are really, really invested in what they do. Um, I don't see what I do as a job. I've never have. I've seen it as almost like a vocation to educate, clients about, what their insurance is covering them
Mm.
for. So I've never sort of considered myself as being sort of that salesperson that sells insurance. I've actually been to so many different clients, and just educate them on what sometimes their endorsements say and mean to them. I've been to premises where they have alarm conditions on their policy, but they don't actually have an alarm, but they didn't know and they weren't going to be covered for theft. And I've not even in some cases like that, ask them to come and, deal with me. But it's been an education piece for them to understand their insurance.
Yeah.
And so for me, I just enjoy that part of it, making sure that, you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes, having somebody there, and we are a little bit of a dying breed because, you've got, used to be able to go into banks and, and post offices, and, you had certain places where you could go and get sort of some advice, financial advice or, insurance advice, but we go and see our clients,
Yeah.
so it's
Really, that's what kind of I think separates you from a lot of other people that I've known in cross insurance. Is that it's that because we've worked with you guys,
yeah,
and we actually do get our insurance from you guys, and everybody I've spoken to really cares about me getting the right insurance and making sure they understand my needs and come to see us. And I think that really shines. And essentially, that is what a great salesperson is: advising, guiding, caring, talking you through the solutions, educating on what's best,
yeah.
and helping you fill gaps and fix problems with the right things, the right solutions. In your case, it's insurance. Our case, it's recruitment and candidates. Rather than just being a salesperson wanting to sell someone something.
Yeah.
It isn't that, isn't it? It's finding out where there's a gap and what's needed, and then going, right, well, you could do this, and we could help you.
Yes.
So you are a really good salesperson because that's what it's all about. But I think, you're very humble, and you don't regard yourself in that as a
Yeah.
salesperson.
It's nice to be able to help people. It's nice to be able to advise people. And, when you do know about a subject, and you know it so well, you know it
Yeah,
inside out, it's nice to be able to explain to somebody else in layman's terms what that means to them because, they're very busy people. They've got a business to run, they've got staff to run, they've got costs to look out for, they've got all sorts of barriers. So it's very difficult as a business owner you just can't know everything.
yeah,
So having somebody on your side that is able to advise you on what could go wrong, and it just makes it a lot a lot warmer. That they're able to talk to you
100%.
because they don't sometimes, they don't just talk to us about the insurance side. They might have other problems, and we will connect them to other
Yeah,
people that we trust, that might be able to help them too. So
amazing.
we do the whole package with our clients. We're there for them whenever they need us.
Like you mentioned, and one of my questions was gonna be, you working your way up to MD, which is amazing, obviously. And asking you, did you aim for leadership or did it happen naturally? But you've answered that question, um, and it's interesting because I think listening to you and how you are quite humble and what you are focused on and what you care about and what you're passionate about, and you're not thinking about pushing up, not interested in it. Excuse me, sorry about that. You're not interested for the power and the title. You actually just want to do a good job. And I think that makes you the best person for this job. And there'll be a lot of other people out there who are similar, but will not get to these jobs because there aren't as many mats out there.
Yeah.
Because the people like yourself who wouldn't push, wouldn't necessarily think, I'm going to be the next MD, that's what's on the cards for me. But Matt has seen, and there are other leaders. Like I saw it in Vicky here. She's our ops manager. She didn't push for that, but I saw talent and nurtured it, and now she runs operations, which is amazing. And similar with Matt and you. And it's like we need. It's almost when we're looking at not just people, not just women in leadership positions, but the right people in leadership positions are often the ones that don't push themselves there.
Yeah.
But you need the people around you or above you to see your natural talent and push you, almost give you that nudge into next step. And I think that's probably where there's a problem.
Yeah.
There's not enough leaders that would then bring up the next leaders, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that where you don't have, that sort of culture within, where you will instantly recognize those people that, aren't pushing for promotion, but are recognized as being able to bring something special, to that leadership team, you know, I suppose you have to then put yourself in a position where you have to ask and actually discuss what you're looking for and where you want to go in your career.
Mm.
And I think for me, I think it's great that if you are consistently doing a good job and you're always thinking about the fact that, you do things because you love to do them rather than somebody's watching you do them. You know, so if somebody's, you've got to pretend that, nobody's in the room when you're doing these things. You've just got to do them,
Yeah.
and that does get recognized, even though you think it doesn't, because it's all those little things that you do consistently that has that result. And also, there could be an element of the fact that, some people might think that they are good for a role, but they might not be good for a role.
Yeah.
Some people make great, salespeople, but not necessarily make, great management. So,
Absolutely.
so that's not saying that that is the case. I'm just saying that it can be the case. So sometimes it does take somebody else to recognize that in you as well. But if that's if you really want to be in a leadership, a team, and you want to progress to being a managing director, etc., then you've got to, I guess, go through, you've got to go through a plan, and you've got to make sure that they are aware that that's what your plan is in that organization, and that, you seek out the proper maybe training and support that you would need to get there, and follow that through. I'm lucky because um, and Matt will tell me now there's no such thing.
We create our own luck, Michelle.
But I am lucky. I am lucky. I'm blessed. I'm blessed because I didn't need to do any of those things. I did just show up and did my best, and I did work. Um, I worked really, really hard because of the love for the job and for the love for the
Yeah.
business. So it was just about the whole package for me. I just wanted to do well for the business.
Yeah. I think a really key thing that you did do to make your own luck was the choice that you made before all of that. And that was you chose to go to JMG because of Matt. So I think not because of him, but you obviously saw something in him and you wanted to go and work for him.
Yeah,
And I think people looking for a career move, I think you cannot assume that people will promote you. You will get progress. People will see in your skills because some people are not, very not aware of what's going on around them. They're very self-obsessed and they're not into developing people. And that's not the same for everybody, but that is the case in some businesses. So I think it's really what I've written down here when you were talking is what's really important when you are looking for a career move, thinking about it now. It's not just about the company and the position and things. It's who's above you and around you and what are they, the kind of people they are. Will you learn? Are they the kind of people that will see you and hear you and make those decisions like Matt did? So I think you made a choice. You have created your own luck because you did make that choice based on what you saw, and it's proved to be successful.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, he is such a great guy. So I am very, I was always very blessed to have him around me, and just to hear him do the job the way that he does as well. It's, even though, I've been in the insurance industry for over 30 years, and, he's taught me so much in the last sort of 4 and a bit years. And I wish I'd sort of had him all of my career. Could be ruling the world by now.
Hey, you'll be ruling the world in no time, Michelle.
I'm not sure I'm ready for that.
So do you still think like you focus on you've made some great choices, you focus on doing a great job and it's worked out well for you. Do you still think that exists today? Like is that the best way to progress your career?
I think is what you've said there. You've either got people that recognize, that you have that potential, and already have it in mind of where your career is going, and naturally, or you have that yourself where you are career driven and you want to progress. if you are that person that wants to progress, and you have to have a plan of how you're going to get there. I've always had goals in my life. Naturally, I've always been that sort of a person. So, even with my kids, my goal, I need to they both need to go to university. That's my goal. And I but I brought them up on my own, and by hook or by crook, I got them both into university, and they both, had first honours degree and did really, really well. And I'm so, so proud of them. They achieved that. I didn't achieve that, but it was my goal financially to get them to a position where they could do that. Um, and once I'd achieved that, I was like, right, well, the both me, what do I do next? And it just so happened that I'd met Matt at that point, of, well, what's next for me? Because every sort of thing I had in terms of goals, I've now done. I've achieved what I set out to do, which was, make sure I kept a roof over our heads pretty much, and and gave my children the life that they deserved. That two parents, I always had it in mind that, two parents would they be able to, if they was able to support a child doing, say, a ski trip. I wanted as a single parent to be able to not say no to my child because I was a single parent. So those were my sorts of goals. I was like, I'm going to make sure
Okay.
that they don't suffer as a result of not having that sort of sort of two parent family
Yeah.
that are both kind of earning. So I think,
That's really driven and
yeah,
motivated
so I
you.
think that if you've got goals, you've got to make sure that you set your goals, whether it's a career goal or whether it's a personal goal, and then you make sure that you take steps towards achieving that goals, and sometimes give yourself a bit of a timeline as to when you expect that you would be able to do this by. It doesn't have to be regimented, but it always has to be what gets you up in the morning, what makes you do what you do, and for me, that led me to do other things in my career that actually I was so grateful to the insurance industry for achieving my goals that I wanted to give something back to them. So I became um, the president for the Institute of Preston and Blackpool.
Oh, wow.
So I, was doing that volunteer role. I did that through COVID and after COVID. Before then, I was sort of deputy president as well. I also have been looking after the education side of things and organising that, and being a council member. So I've been doing that for quite a number of years. And it's just it's just something that has enabled me to feel like I've actually given something back to the industry as a whole. And because without this industry, I wouldn't have achieved
Yeah,
any of
I love
these
that.
things.
That is just really good karma.
Yeah,
I think giving back is essential. I think if you are in a position where you can give back, and that differs position by position, person by person. I think turning around and giving something back is always, it's
yeah,
like paying it forward, isn't it?
yeah,
I think it's really positive. It's just a kind thing to do, and I think the world could do with a lot more
yeah.
kindness and positivity.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I think what a lot of what you kind of talk about there with your goals, and I feel the passion coming from you. Like you've got so much energy and determination to do a good job, to be a good person, to be a good mum. And I think I could you a real you've got that the whole package going on. And but do you think like in business, do you think sometimes people underestimate the power of that personality and that energy, and they sometimes focus on, I don't know, blindsided by, I don't know, confidence or ego, or people being assertive about what they can achieve, um, or I don't know, a catalogue of successes. Do you think personality and determination and energy can be overlooked
I think sometimes it
or
can.
underestimated?
Yeah, I think it can be. I think it depends on how you are as a person and how you show, that sort of personality trait as well. So if nobody can see it, then and it's hiding away, then
Yeah,
nobody really can recognize it. Where is if you just are yourself, people will see who you are, and they'll see those personality traits. And I think that people love seeing those sorts of, the confidence, the bubbliness, they people, I think we underestimate how people see other people. I think, underestimate how people see you as a person, generally day to day, oh, that person might not like me, or that person might absolutely love you, but doesn't show you that in the way that you would probably recognize as how you would show it to somebody else.
Yeah.
So I think, all you can do is just be you and be a good version of you all the time. When no one's looking, just do you. Don't get involved in, other people's dramas and the politics of everything. Just be you and just try and help as many people as you can. You're only on this earth for a very short time. If you can spend it just doing right by other people, then, it all plays back to you. That karma does come back to you. I don't know how it comes back to you, but, I think that it's just it's you just have a good aura about you, and people do see that, and they want that. They do want people in their business that are going to project, a personality that's reflective of their business. Look at all the lovely people in Fresh. I've walked in here this morning and I'm just overwhelmed by that buzz of
Oh,
personality, and you just this is a lovely space to be in. So yeah, I do think that it is recognized, but you've got to show that it's there.
okay. And do you think it can be more of a slower burn to get to be progressed in that way because it takes time for you to show it and for people to see? Or it can, for some, rather than what I suppose what I'm trying to get at, statistically, there is a difference between men and women when they are approaching their careers. Now, I'm not saying these are 100% accurate facts, just FYI, before anyone comes at me. But when you look from a recruitment perspective, especially when you look at advert campaigns and responses, um, men are statistically more inclined to apply for a job that's way out of their salary range, where they can't do, haven't got all of the required criteria. They will, majority more men than women statistically, will throw their hat in the ring, whereas females tend to, they don't almost believe in themselves as much and won't go after something that's really high salary. And if they can't do everything, they're like, well, I won't get the job because I've not got all the essential criteria. So
Yeah.
that does almost catapult the men forwards in these situations and they will probably go into an interview and try and confidence and bluff the way through it in comparison to not as many females doing that. But then it also, will it hold back the women because they aren't pushing themselves forward for these opportunities where the guys are doing it more?
Yeah, I think that women are quite conservative in terms of what they will say they are able to achieve.
Come on,
100%.
girls.
Yeah, I think that if a woman won't confidently say that she will do something unless she absolutely believes that she will be able to do it. So we don't sort of, I don't think that we have that mindset where we look at things as yeah, I probably can. I think we think, well, no, can I actually? Have I thought about this? And is it realistic for me to say that I can do that? So when
Yeah.
somebody asks you a question, as a woman, I think that you answer it conservatively because you don't want to overpromise something that you might not be able to deliver on. And obviously, it's not true on all women, but I think certainly, I think when a woman says, "Yes, I can do this," 100% everybody knows that they probably can because they don't tend to say
Yeah,
things.
okay.
They don't make bold statements like that unless they actually can. Um, you know, um, they'll probably use words like, "I think I might be able to," or it's possible that I can get to that point. Um, Whereas I think that men probably just don't view it the same way, and do actually think, well, actually, yeah, I could do that, and they're probably a bit more bold in their expectations. They think, yeah, I can achieve that, I can achieve that. Um, so yeah, I think that they probably take more risks than what women do. Women
Yeah.
aren't really, I don't think, massive risk takers. They kind of evaluate a lot, about what could happen and what could go wrong and what.
Which is not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, but also it is also quite a positive thing. So if you spin it round the other way, if I'm interviewing a woman for a role and I ask if she can achieve X, Y, and Z, and she says yes, then I know that she probably can. So it does work as well on the flip side that women do tend to if they have to achieve 10 and they say they can do 7, they probably can do 10, but you definitely know that you're going to get the 7.
As an
Um,
absolute minimum.
yeah,
Yeah,
at the
okay.
absolute minimum, because they sort of are underestimating how good they're going to be at a particular role, which is a shame, because
It is a
you know
shame.
but I think that, I think we recognize that more now in the psychology of how women are
Mm,
made up and how men are made up. And, at the end of the day, whoever is great for a role is great for a role. And whoever can achieve that role, to the highest standard, and that's what you have to aim to look
yeah.
for. Um, but I do think that certainly we've come on leaps and bounds in terms of, you know, women in business,
Mhm.
women in leadership roles. Although the statistics that you was talking about, in Lancashire aren't fabulous. I think that actually, certainly I can only speak for my industry, and in my industry, we have lots and lots of women in leadership roles. In fact, in the Northwest, we have 2 female MDs. So
Love that.
that's incredible in itself. But we have, female insurers, CEOs, and in claims, women in senior leadership roles in claims, and certainly in insurance companies. So the insurance world has drastically changed over the years, and certainly recognizes certainly women in leadership roles an awful lot.
And I would have said that I think in the past, historically, your sector has probably been quite male dominated, so it probably has come on a long way.
Yeah, I mean, when I started in doing the role that I had, which was originally sort of an account executive type role, um, I only knew of one other woman that did my role in the area, if you will. So it was definitely male dominated. But actually, I always felt it to be a little bit of an advantage. So I think it's all how you think about things as well.
Yeah.
So I think, oh, gosh, clients must be sick of talking about bloody football and and this and the other.
Enter Michelle.
So I think that, I focused a lot on, their business and their, and their needs. But also was able just to be, just add that bit of personality and, female perspective on things. So I actually thought, well, they don't have that with anyone else. They've only got that with me. So, I did really well, you know,
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah.
It was an
Yeah, so
advantage.
you shone in comparison because you were different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and I get that. And I suppose it's not just down to the women to push for it, because not all women will push for it, and that is just something we have to accept. But I think the employers need to be looking. We need to be understanding the psychology now. We need to be looking, asking better questions in interviews, looking for different qualities, and not just being blindsided by the people that are shouting the loudest, which can be the guys, or it could be, really overconfident women who don't, not necessarily the ones that shout the loudest are the best. So I think employers have a responsibility to be better at reviewing candidates, seeking out the skills, qualities, and attributes
Yeah.
of people, not just women. Because I think it happens a lot. You see tons through my career when I was employed, and through the work I do within recruitment, across a wide range of businesses. People that end up in management and leadership positions are not always the people that should be in those positions. Yes, they're great at what they do, but they shouldn't be a manager of people. It's just not in part of their skill set. And I think they get to that stage because they're confident and they're good at what they do and they might shout the loudest and they just naturally progress. And then they're not good managers of people. Whereas just because someone's the loudest and the best at what they do doesn't mean they're naturally going to be a good manager. Someone else who sits alongside them, equally as good but not as confident,
Yeah.
could be the best nurturing person to be that manager. And I think we really need to be looking at the people in our business and the people coming into our business and making better decisions.
Yeah, and like I say, if you actually say that, this is what you want out of your career, if nobody actually knows that that's the case, then they might just think that you are just happy in your position.
Yeah, speak up.
Yeah, so you do need to speak up,
Ask.
and
Yeah.
ask, but also, go through those reviews, with your line manager at the,
Yeah.
and talk about, how you progress, and what is the pathway, because they as you say, they may not recognize that this is the case, but you might also have, somebody that, has come into the business as, a young person that's quite shy, that is learning the ropes, and is going to be an absolute superstar diamond, for your business. Because they're gaining in confidence. So doing those reviews and recognizing, you know, what those skills are in the people that, are working
Yeah.
with you, it is magical, because,
Yeah.
you can, I always talk about our team as being like the A team.
Oh, I
You
love
probably,
that. No, I
um,
remember the A-Team
I
and
mean,
the theme tune.
yeah,
Now it's playing in my head.
I know, and there's certain people in our team that I kind of go, oh, there's Hannibal, and there's the Baracus, and because and there's Face.
All very
um,
different members of the team bringing something
exactly,
different to the table, but it works. Yeah.
exactly, but they all bring this magic
Yeah. Oh, I
to the
love that
table,
magic.
and I mean, I Matt knows this, so I'm not telling any tales out of school here, because he knows that me and technology don't get on together, and I've been known to break every single electronic device in our office at some point or another. Um,
Got some kind of magnetic field around you.
I'm heavy-footed, heavy-handed, and just break technology. And it's so I always call upon Josh in our office. So Josh is very, analytical as a person. He's very good, sorting out reports and things like that. So he's technically, he's got that technical mind, that loves technology. So Josh, I broke something again.
Help.
and, and
SOS.
and you do need people in your team that are better than you. You always.
100%.
So,
Yeah.
and I would class everybody in our team as better than me, at different things. You've always got to look for people that are able to build that business and take it forward even
Yeah.
further. And we aren't all good at everything. We're just not. I'm terrible at lots of things. But I'm also, at the same time, very good at at certain things. So I bring those to the table,
Yeah.
and other people in my team bring other things to the table. And you have to have different personalities. You've got to have different people that are good at different things to make that team be
Yeah.
that brilliant team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when we talk about, a lot of what we've talked about today is about women. And my next bit I want to do is talk about that. But it isn't. It's about the team. It's about people and the right people being in the right jobs and having that spread of skills and experience and personality and culture across the team is where, like where you said, the magic happens. And I love that. Like I was watching, don't you seen it, Beast Games on Amazon. It's a guy, he does loads of YouTube videos, and now he has these crazy games, and there's like hundreds of people, and you have to complete games, and then one winner gets $5 million at the end. And then as you're getting through the game, and then like they team up to do team games, and there's some individual ones, and then people just get knocked out as you go through. And at one point I think there was like around 10 people left, I think. Yeah, and more or less 50-50 split between men and women. Now, the women were chatting around, and a couple of them were like, right, okay, whoever gets through, we've got to bring all the girls through. All the girls have got to get through. And I'm like, why though? And I know it's a game, but some of the girls were like, well, no, I've got great relationships with some of the guys. Like, why does it have to be all girls and no guys? Because if the guys were having that conversation, there would be uproar.
Yeah.
If the guy's like, "Right, let's get rid of all the women and just get the men through," it would be very different. But I don't think it's okay on the other side. I don't think it's okay for women to like, "Well, let's just get all the women through." I think it's about equality and balance, isn't it? And the right people,
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
just one gender over another. But I'm gonna make a point about women now. I went to an event recently, and I think the statistic was 21% of women. Oh no, yeah, 21% of women in leadership roles across Lancashire, which I thought, I'm like, it shouldn't be a conversation we're having. We shouldn't be talking about women in business. It should just be called business. We're business people. But apparently, it's a conversation we should be having because, especially across Lancashire, and I don't know why that is. Like, I know you've talked about your sector. I mean, I have some thoughts, but do you think businesses in general are doing enough to develop and promote women?
I think that I mean, I think first of all, I mean, it's very difficult for businesses anyway. They're trying to navigate, through very turbulent waters, through for lots of different reasons. Um, but I do think that, we have to come back to that point of, first of all, you know, there might be some women that just don't want to progress, that just are happy in a role that they've got. They might have, young children. They might not want to progress their career at certain points. So I think that there probably is an awful lot of that as well, where women, decide to take a career break, or they're working part-time hours. So they just don't, they don't want that sort of role at this point in time. So they will be in the stats, for sure. Um, There'll also be, that element where, business owners might not recognize that they should perhaps promote within, or there might just not be those roles available, for those sizes of business. So I think there's so many different, factors at play there, that it's very difficult when you're just talking about a stat of, this is Lancashire and this is how many, women are in leadership roles, this is a percentage, because there's so many reasons why that could be,
Mm.
and it might not necessarily be down to the fact that we're just not doing enough
Yeah,
to
or
I
being
sort of think,
overlooked.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you think any part of it is because you mentioned that career based for having kids and needing to be part time to look after kids? Do you think that is because women want to do that, or is it just because stereotypically, traditionally, historically, it is the woman that kind of takes that role over, well, the mum that takes that role over the dad? Because there
Yeah.
are two. 'Cause it's interesting that the stat is 20 weeks. Women are impacted because of having kids and career breaks, but there is a man involved as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's because I just thought 21%. I wouldn't have expected it to be equal, um, but I just thought that would just seems like a really small number.
Yeah, it is it is a small number, and but it would be interesting to know that, what sort of businesses they are,
Yeah, to get
and what
the
sort of progression,
detail.
yeah, and what sort of progression, because that number might well be higher had it have been, across a chain of these sorts of businesses, for example, where there is that sort of progression. So, like our type of business, for example,
Mm,
would change that completely. Because we don't
yeah,
we do have a lot of women in leadership roles. So I think that, certainly, I didn't have that luxury of making that choice. And when I had my children, and there was definitely a nicer work environments are much nicer than what I remember it
yeah.
being a young mum. Because you had to be at work at 9, and you had to finish at 5, and you had an hour for your dinner, and if you wanted a dentist appointment, you had to go and tuck it off your dinner hour, and you had to ask permission, and we had all of that sort of stuff back in the day.
No flexibility. Now it's all about the
It was.
flex.
There was no, yeah, there was no flexibility, not really, and if you didn't show up for work, they'd find somebody else that would, you know.
Don't bother coming back
It
tomorrow.
it pretty much, it was very, very cut and dried.
Yeah.
As an employee, that was where you stood, and as an employee, this is where you stood. The lines have changed now, so there is a lot more flexibility for, you know, um, men and women
Hmm.
who want to go and pick up the kids from school. They, want to take extra time off, to, certainly and as I say, I can only speak for JMG, but there is absolutely no way that we would want you to be in a meeting in our office when your child is doing their sports day.
Yeah.
We'd be like, what are you doing here? Go and watch your child in their sports day. You'll never get that time back. It's hugely important for businesses to have that flexibility. We have certainly people in our business that go and pick up their kids from school. They come in later. We have that flexibility because it's important. And also you get the best out of your team by not, I was stressed out as a young parent, and I had to be there for 9 o'clock. I had to get my kids to school. Sometimes it was dark when I was dropping my kids off. It was awful. There was after school clubs, and it was hard, really hard. But your drive was, well, I need to keep my job.
Absolutely, yeah. And I feel like that's not as much a drive, especially across to some of the younger generation these days. But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think part of the reason in Lancashire, like there's a lot of manufacturing and engineering businesses, and to not typically female appealing industries, and I think there's a lot of family businesses in Lancashire, and I do think sometimes. I think because 'cause they're quite, generational, I do think sometimes you've still got the dads, the granddads at the top of the tree, and they've come from a different generation, and so I think when they've passed the baton, it's been to a son rather than a daughter. And hopefully that will start to change. So I do think there's a lot of family businesses, manufacturing, engineering, which I do think contribute to that lower percentage across
Yeah.
Lancashire.
And that's why it will make such a difference on those stats because, you know, some positions aren't naturally what a female. I'm not saying they wouldn't, but I remember when you're talking about kids going through education and going through university. I remember when CSI was on the telly, and the applications for university places to do with anything to do with crime scene investigation went through
Oh,
the roof,
yeah.
and there was literally all these young people taking these courses, but there was no jobs at the end of them, and it was because there wasn't the jobs. And there wasn't
Yeah.
enough of these jobs available, and so you ended up with this qualification in CSI, but you was never going to be able to kind of progress that for a long period of time until some vacancies did actually happen. So I think there is also, those sorts of trends as well.
Yeah, we need some TV shows about manufacturing
Yeah, I
engineering.
mean, I remember when I was at school, it was being a beautician, being a hairdresser.
Yeah.
That was the career of choice. For my friends when I was at school, wasn't mine, but it was my friends. I was probably more of that tomboy that would want a different type of career. But there was certainly, I don't remember any of sort of my friends wanting to, go and, start working in a manufacturing business or an engineering business, or, or in a garage. That's not to say that it doesn't happen, and I encourage women to take those sorts of roles because they are
Yeah.
fantastic roles. But I just don't think that there is I think naturally women would steer towards certain other careers, and sometimes those can be swamped, with other
Yeah,
women as
certainly
well.
historically, yeah, definitely. Oh, I could talk to you about this stuff all day. Um, but I'm going to close on one question. So I think we've talked about loads in terms of career, leadership development, women in business. For the people listening to this episode, and if they just take one thing away, what would you want it to be?
I think what I would say is always be the best version of yourself you can possibly be with everybody. Don't make assumptions about other people. Just go through life with an open heart, and just trust yourself. Because also trusting yourself can be quite hard. When you've got to make some tough decisions about, either in your personal life or in your business life. You know, your gut will always steer you right. It's always telling you the right things. You just need to listen to yourself, trust yourself that you're doing the right thing, and just always be the best version of yourself.
Okay. I love that. Thanks, Michelle. So we're going to finish up with our game, fresh or stale. So I'm going to say 5 words or phrases, and you're going to tell me if you think they are fabulous and fresh or stale, and a little bit of a reason why.
Okay.
Okay, ready? Musicals.
Oh, definitely fresh, fabulous.
Are you a
I
musical
I
lover?
just yes, I am. I love actually Disney musicals. So I've been to see Lion King
Love The
probably
Lion King.
5 times now. I absolutely adore it. And I love Chicago. I've just been to see Mamma Mia. Only last week, my mum.
Was that good?
Yeah. It was very good. It was very well acted. I just think that musicals are fabulous. I think that they're just different, aren't they? Just it's different than watching a movie.
It's a
There's a
different
lot.
energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a different energy.
Yeah. Where did you watch Mamma Mia?
At Manchester?
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah,
We might
yeah.
add that to the list.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. I feel like I know what you're going to say. Networking events.
Oh, fresh, fabulous.
You're
I
always at a networking event.
I love networking events because you meet so many great people. And also, you know, you're not an island, so bouncing, your ideas and things off people that are so good at what they do in certainly other areas. It's
Yeah.
another level to what you've got already in your team, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like a big extension. Like
Yeah.
I've learned so much from people I've met at networking. Some have become friends, suppliers, customers, just peers in business, helping you share your problems and giving you yeah, I'm with you on that. Married at First Sight Australia. I'm laughing because we already had a bit of a chat about this before the podcast.
Oh, that has to be fresh, fabulous. So I've never ever watched it in my life before, and it happened to be on the TV, sort of in the background, and I became an addict. So I now stop everything that I'm doing at 7:30 at night during the week. I was gutted that it wasn't on the weekends, just to watch it because it is really, really quite incredible. The whole so you just it's just a different reality, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm the same. Like I watched the Australian version by accident. I don't think it's the one you're watching. It's a previous season. And I was just hooked because I was just like, couldn't not watch it. I'm
Yeah.
like, what is this? Like, it's brutal. It's harsh. I can't believe people do it. Great TV.
I actually have decided that I would be one of those people who do something like that.
Oh, so we might see you on
Yeah,
it.
no, you definitely won't. Definitely won't see me on it. But I think that I think that you can actually admire these people for taking that
Being
kind of step.
brave.
Yeah,
Or crazy. Or
yeah.
both.
Or a bit of
Both
both.
traits you needed for a business. So when you started a business.
You do need a little bit of crazy in your world. You definitely do. And I'm crazy enough to do something like that.
Okay. Talking about crazy things. The next thing on my list is abseiling.
Oh, absolutely stale.
So there's a limit to your crazy.
So I've done abseiling.
Okay.
So I abseiled at Trafford Centre, off the Trafford Centre building.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and yeah, it has to be 100% the worst thing I've ever put myself through in my life, because as that sense of somebody asking you to step off a building with just a piece of rope and on a very windy day is horrific. But I will tell you a quick funny about that, because that day my mum was staying with me and she said, "Oh," I said, "Do you want to come and watch me?" Because, I said we could maybe go because she was looking to go to Costco, and Costco's across the road, as you know. So I said, "If you want to come with me, you'll be hanging around a little bit, but when we're done, I can take you to Costco. You can get what you need from Costco, and we can go back home." So she said, "No, that's absolutely fine." So there I am. Absolutely, honestly, there was almost tears falling down my face, coming down it was horrible, horrible. Anyway, did it, got down to the bottom of it, went down to my mum and said, "Are you really worried about me?" And she went, "No." She said, "I was just looking at my bloody watch thinking, when are we going to get to this bloody Costco?" She
Hurry
said,
up.
"It might be closed by the time." She said, "They'll probably sell out of all the meat by the time I get there." I was
Wow,
thinking,
empathy.
your only daughter is just literally, gone down the side of a building, flying around corners
Oh, that
in
is
the wind.
hilarious.
And you've been worried about not getting the good meat at Tesco.
Oh my God,
At
I love
Costco.
that. Oh, bless her. Bless you, we poor thing. Get there and you're expecting some kind of like, well done. Oh my God, I was so worried. I'm so
Yeah.
proud of you. No, we need to get to Costco, love.
Yeah, I know.
I actually like abseiling. I get really scared. I mean, I've only done it twice, 2, 3 times. I get really scared before it. I think I'm going to throw up. But once I get over the edge, I'm all right. Although the first time I did it, it was my 30th birthday. We'd gone to the lakes for a few days, rented out a big house, and we did like a day of activities. Abseiling was one of them, so I'm going down with my rope. And stupidly, my hair was down, and at one point I realised my hair was getting stuck in the rope. I was
Oh,
like, so I
no.
stopped, and I'm like shouting up to the top. I'm like, I'm stuck. My hair's stuck in. I couldn't go up, and I couldn't go down.
Oh, no.
So they sent another rope down. So I had to clip it on and unclip. So there's one thing relying on an expert to do this for you, relying on yourself.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was just hanging there thinking, I could plummet to my death.
Yeah,
Obviously, I didn't. I'm here now today doing this podcast.
thank
And
goodness.
then they pulled me up a bit and I had to like pull my hair out and then shoved it in my coat and carried on. I mean, I do
Oh,
think the professional should have said you need to put your hair in a ponytail. I mean, I know it's obviously something I should have realised as well, but yeah.
yeah.
So we both had a bit of a time with abseiling, which leads me on to a nice. Oh no, I thought this said cruises. And I'm like, oh yeah, that brings us on to a nice topic, but it's
Oh.
not. It's crufts.
Crufts. Oh, definitely a fresh fabulous. Who doesn't love crufts? Who doesn't love doggies?
No, well, you're going to be taking Maverick.
Well, we have
That's
we have
Michelle's dog, by the way, not a husband.
although he'd probably do well. Yeah, so we did do a little bit of agility. Something we're not doing it anymore, but we now hire instead because it's just time thing, with it. It was on a Tuesday night and I rushed and and it was freezing and dark and raining and all the rest of it. So now we've got the equipment. When I say we've got the equipment, we've got some Amazon equipment.
Oh my
Sorry
God.
about the plug.
I need to see this pitch.
But we've got the
Pictures of this.
tunnel, we've got the jumps, we've got
Can I
different.
bring Penny round and see if she'll ever go on it?
Honestly. So, but we hire a field now, and we're doing that this weekend on Sunday. So me and my friend and her partner. So we've got 4 dogs in total. We've got medals. We bought little trophies. We bought reward treats. Little
Oh my
like
God, I
boats.
love this.
So, and we're going to have like a day, but we also change it so the adults have to do it as well. So I've got to crawl through the tunnel, jump over and we
This is
tie.
such a good
I know.
idea.
So I love crufts, but we have our own. Me and my friend Emma have our own little version of crufts that we do from time to
Oh
time.
my goodness, I absolutely love. I'm so glad we put this on. I've learned so much about you today. Oh, but thank you so much for
Oh,
joining me,
thank you so
Michelle.
much,
I
Laura.
really, really enjoyed it. So if people wanted to get in touch with you to talk about anything we've discussed today, or if they want to talk about their insurance needs, where can they find you?
Well, they can certainly find me on LinkedIn. Please link in with me. I always have content on LinkedIn. All my contact details are on there as well. But I'm at JMG, at my office at JMG in Blackburn. We've also got an office in Kendal as well. So you can find me at either of those locations. If you look up JMG Blackburn or JMG Kendal. And also I'm at Manchester quite a lot as well. So if anybody would like a cup of coffee and a chat,
Oh,
I would be
lovely.
more than happy to do that.
drop Michelle an invite on LinkedIn and send her a message, and then you can have a brew with her. And then I'm also can find me on LinkedIn, Laura Leyland, and Fresh Perspective, www.fp-resourcing.co.uk. We are on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and so many other places. If you've liked this podcast, please leave a review, follow us, and tell other people about it. I think that's it. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Tune in a couple of weeks for the next episode. Bye.